Culture of me.
It is a place where the truth should be carried.
The arts and music scene really shows what people are about.
Share what's going on here in York.
Makes you feel like a family.
Local art has a face that most people can relate to.
Our community up here that sticks together.
Art is art.
Great potential with great artists, poets, singers, writers, directors, filmmakers. It's fantastic.
Everyone has a story to tell.
That moment, you have to capture that moment and share it with the rest of the world.
Showing something that maybe is not been seen before.
Without art, what is life?
I am art. I've been art ever since I was born.
It really adds a great deal to our community.
We don't really need art to exist, but you need art to live.
Culture of Maine is important, and I think playing out is important, and playing open mics and playing wherever you can play. It's all about us all checking in with each other.
Hi, my name's Marisa Porter. Gonna play a song I wrote. It's called Rambling Wild. Just about like when you're having a bad day and everything's going wrong. Just about like kind of going out, playing music, and having a good time to make everything feel better. Tonight I'll go out and I'll sing bad stuff in my soul with all the wrong things. Give me a crowd and I'll get buzzed off of the sounds. Only they give me a high that does not bring me down, no. I need to sing so loud. Gotta get this touch on, I gotta get it out. Oh, tonight I am rambling wild. This is a devil and he's hiding in my smile. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, you know I get so hungry for love, and the music is the only thing that comes close enough. So let's have another drink and lose track of the time. Let's get lost in the beat and see what we can find. I need to sing so loud. Gotta get this touch on, I gotta get it out. Oh, tonight I am rambling wild. This is a devil and he's hiding in my smile. Whoa, 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 whoa. I've been singing literally since I was like an infant. Like my grandma would sing to me when I was a baby, and I would try to mimic the sounds back. We have it on video. I'd get like so upset because I couldn't do it. So it's just, I don't know, singing's always been like kind of like my outlet, and my brother has been playing guitar for I think 9 years now. So I was about 12, maybe 11 or 12 when he got into that. So then we kind of started working together and putting songs together and like writing together and stuff like that. And then when I was in high school, we were in a band together, and so we started doing shows and things like that. And then I kind of fell off it for a little bit after I graduated. Life just got in the way. But I recently just started going out and doing gigs and just really getting out there. I don't want to like make it big or anything crazy. I really just want to be successful with it. If I could get to the point where I have enough gigs, you know, each week to where it could pay my bills, that would be great. That's really like my short-term goal, I guess, is to just get out as much as I can and get as many gigs as I can. It's called Freedom. It's just about like kind of cleaning the negativity out of your life and, you know, just feeling better in general.
Through my veins, that dark part of me has died, and I know I will never be the same. Whoa. The beauty I never knew enlightened me, show me the truth. Oh my God, look at me now. I'm floating higher than the clouds. Whoa. My mind is clean, my heart is free, yeah. Here shining right through me. My mind is clean, my heart is free. Oh, drown me in your energy, 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 yeah. It's like I am covered in fire, 70 flames, all different shades, exotic passion, burning desire, sweet freedom, carry me higher and higher. Whoa. My mind is clean, my heart is free, yeah. All this light here shining right through me. My mind is clean, my heart is free. Oh, drown me in your energy, 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 yeah. Oh.
First Cap was the first open mic I played, and everybody there's just like super accepting and like very welcoming. So that was kind of an inspiration to me to start doing more. I go to the Depot, Holy Hound, and it's always just like kind of the same group of people there that kind of support you, and you know, they come to your shows and things like that. So that's been really great. Newgrounds is cool because it's like more intimate. It's really quiet. People are there, you know, just doing their homework or having coffee, so it's a really like calm setting, as opposed to the Depot. You go there and it's just like packed full and it's loud and crazy, which I appreciate both parts of that. I think it's good to have a crowd sometimes because it gets you excited and pumped up, but then it's good to have the calm setting where you kind of feel like people are listening a little bit more and can hear you a little bit better. This is a song I wrote about the dam at Holtwood River. It's just kind of like my happy place, so I wrote a song about it.
Sun shining on my back, I got the windows down, singing out my favorite track. I'm cruising far from town, down to my favorite spot where the river flows, where my heart is up in knots. It's where my spirit goes. Oh, 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 oh. Take me down to the river. I wanna breathe in the trees, honey. Wrap me in this world around me. I feel the cleanest when this earth is loving me, loving me. Oh, 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 oh. Guitar straight to our backs, recliner rocks with beaten shoes, camera wrapped around my neck for this breathtaking view. Intoxicated by the clouds, drunk from the sun, close my eyes and realize me and this earth are one. We are one. Oh, oh, oh. Take me down to the river. I wanna breathe in the trees, honey. Wrap me in this world around me. I feel the cleanest when this earth is loving me, loving me. Oh, take me down. I don't need no Twitter, no, no. I don't need no Snapchat, no, no, no. Just take me to the river where I won't have no service, say you won't know where I'm at. Take me down to the river. I wanna breathe in the trees, honey. Wrap me in this world around me. I feel the cleanest when this earth is loving me, loving me. Oh, take me down. Whoa.
I would definitely say to just go for it. Everywhere I've gone, everybody's super welcoming. I've met a ton of people, made a ton of friends, and I think just in general, like no matter what it is, any form of art, people appreciate that, especially around here. There's not a lot of it, and I think it would be great if the music scene could be a little bit bigger.
If you're writing fiction, you never know when one of your characters will suddenly start to take on some of these things. So a friend of mine who's a writer, he actually keeps like a big cork board over his desk. And what he does is, like, throughout the day, if something captures his eye or something, engages him, he'll write it on a scrap of paper, or he'll, on the back of a business card, on a napkin. And throughout the day, he collects all these things, and then he posts them up on there.
I'm Kenny Jean Baptiste. I'm a junior at York High, and I wanted to participate in this workshop because I definitely wanted to participate in the display of the writing just in general, whether I would go to the workshop or not. And when you came to the school talking about having the opportunity for the public to see my writing, that was also really important to me. So I decided to participate, and I like the idea that I get to have my voice heard. It's important for the students to be able to speak their mind about their education situation because it is their education, and they do know what the problems with education are and what the highlights, what the positive things are going on in their education. And a lot of adults and staff and school board members tend to belittle the students because, it's not their line of work, they're not really professionals, but they are experiencing everything. So it's important to get their first person outlook and their first person information.
we all have those days when we don't know what to write about, or we don't know, we're kind of stuck. He'll just stare at the wall, literally, right? He'll stare at that corkboard until he starts to see almost like a constellation. Like, wait, this was connected to this, and because that's how our brains work. But sometimes we don't think of it that way. So the thing that you overheard a friend say will connect to maybe something that you saw on TV, which will also connect to like a song that you heard. And before you know, you're like, wait, this is something maybe I'm interested in.
All right, so it's really rough, but I'll try to make the best out of it. I should feel like a part of something bigger. Am I not a part of something bigger? The school represents the city, it represents the people, it represents the culture, a need for change. Mr. Vito was talking a lot about the planning process before you start writing, and I think that was kind of cool to hear him talk about, as a writer, being able to collect information from, a bunch of different sources, and just being out in the day, being able to hear something and say, how can I incorporate this into my writing, and being able to bring everything together. And I think that helped a little bit, because normally I'm a spontaneous writer and I can't really just plan things out, but the way he talked about it, it was easier for me to figure out what I want in my poem and what I want the readers to understand and get out of my poem. The voices of the choir through the hall. Then the sounds of a scale. B flat? No. D. She is sure of it. She knows the sound of a band. She loves the sound of a band. And to her left, the faint strings, the beautiful faint strings. She looks to me and smiles. She has found where she belongs. The question was, what does my perfect education look like? And I talked about if perfection is even possible. And I was talking about doubt and people thinking that we're not going to really come out of the hole that we're in. But I do believe that there is room to better the system. And I talked about what I wanted. I said I want to go to a school and be surrounded by those who want to go to school. I talked about how I want to be able to find myself and be directed, how I should feel prepared and be anxious for the future. One of my highlights that I actually decided to incorporate into my poem was I should feel like a part of something bigger and feel valued and feel welcomed. And so mainly what I got out of my free writing was what am I feeling about the topic. So I think that was good. It was sort of like a self-exploration activity. I think if the students and the staff, came together, we can make change. And the students of the school and the youth in the community do have the power to make change and change for the better. So I think that's a really good reason to participate in this. And that's why I chose to participate in this. And I hope that, more people will see the student side of this and learn from it. I'm trying to, make sure that I get every word right. But, yeah, I think I can give it a go. Is it on? Oh, I should feel like a part of something bigger. Is the school not a part of something bigger? The school represents the city. It represents the people. It represents the culture. The need for change. They say we're violent. They say we're poor. That's only because they see us, not know us. They see the outside, not the core. We are not what they say we are. We are better. We are more. Shine a light on our positivity, and you will then see what we stand for. She is following me. Her eyes scan the halls, her footsteps slow. She is silent. Our shoes squeak on the clean floor. I speak. She nods. But does she hear? She continues to look around, reading the words on the wall, blankly staring at the girls who walk by. She is following me, but she is lost. Until we reach the music room, and her eyes focus. She stops moving and relaxes. The smooth, resonant voices of the choir sound through the hall. Then, the notes of the scale. B flat? No. D. She is sure of it. She knows the sound of a band. She loves the sound of a band. And to her left, the faint strings. The beautiful, faint strings. She looks to me and smiles. She has found where she belongs.
Let's say without delay.
little sooner, altos. Ready?
Join us now this festive day.
You say you want to see change. You say you think we need change. You say it's time to make change. So stop talking and be change. To the future we'll start leaning. Grab a friend, make a friend, start a trend, so we can end this tradition of speaking without meaning.
Thank you. We start clapping and our count. Ready, 2, and sing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
A vision isn't something you just see. It's something you feel, something you know, something you should strive to be. A person isn't someone who just lives. They're someone who matters, someone who feels, someone who gives. Gives what they can to whatever they care about. Give what you can to the change you want to see sprout, despite all the doubt. A city isn't something that just has power. It's something that has purpose, something that has people. It's something that's ours. Ours to love and to watch grow. Ours to change and to watch glow. Be a part of something you're not ashamed to know. And lastly, the children who warm up our hearts should at least be blessed with a beautiful start. For they are the future, they make the city flow, and the way that you show them is the way that their children will go. So let's break this old cycle, or better yet, start a new one. Violence, negativity, animosity, in these schools you'll find none. So ask yourself, what are you doing to better your city, to let your town shine? And this time we'll work together, for the city is yours and mine.
1, 2, and staccato. 2, 3, and.
I'm making a game here that you shoot you'll sort of shoot a ball and then you get points depending on what ball you get it. And I've got a little ball return.
Building like a ski ball station, and you roll your little ball, and if it lands in one of the circles, that determines how much points you get.
Hey, what's in the box? Oh, nothing. Nothing that's about to be something. But it looks empty, can't you see? It's overflowing with possibility. Hey, what's in the box? Oh, nothing. Nothing that's about to be something. But it looks empty, can't you see? It's overflowing with possibility. Inspiration, imagination.
The can makes a lot of noise. Did you hear that? So, and then from there, it's a slide style. So,
Like that?
this goes on this hand. So rather than having to fret, that's where you make sound against, and you just strum it regular.
All around the world, collaboration, creativity, and concentration. We are building a strong foundation. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna make it into something more. 4, 3, 2, 1. The global cardboard challenge has just begun. So what you gonna make? What you gonna make? What you gonna make? What are you gonna make? What you gonna make? What you gonna make? No, seriously, tell us. What are you gonna make?
something, but it looks empty. Can't you see? It's overflowing with possibility.
And we're going to attach, this is going to be the string. As you pull the string, it's going to close. What we need is we need something strong for this because we don't want to bend. You see how carpet has two directions? You can go this way, which is really easy.
This is the introduction to A Moment in the Sun. The white and pink bus traveled along streets already congested by morning commuters. Dawn had broken, and the overnight trip was nearly finished for the handful of riders. Soon they would arrive at Shinjuku Station to be greeted by family and friends, but for one. Though she appeared to sleep, the girl curled up in her seat, head against the window, was wide awake. Her body exhausted from a long ride and numerous fears remained tensed. She wanted the bus to stop so she could get off and get away. Arms encircled the backpack, bulky with the thick sketch pad that protruded from the main compartment. The girl wore jeans, sneakers, a black sweatshirt with no markings, and a denim jacket longer than the fashion. A military-style cap pulled low over her face, long, thick hair spilled from it, tied back by a rubber band. This part of her stood out. The mane was shoulder-length but wavy, not the norm for Japanese women. At first glance, one would think she'd given serious use of a curling iron, but the girl's hair was naturally so. She didn't want anyone looking at her. In the 10 hours aboard, the girl studiously avoided contact. The elderly couple that sat beside her as far as Kawasaki Station was friendly enough, but she kept her answers to a minimum. Less talk equaled less visibility. The girl peered out the window. Buildings loomed above. Shadows of vehicles, bikes, and pedestrians registered, but she did not see them. She was here before, but long ago. Her hope was to remain and leave what she fled behind. The uniformed relief driver moved forward. He spoke to each knot of passengers politely to say they would be at the station soon. An announcement declared the same, with admonitions to each fare to ensure they had their luggage in order. The girl faced forward and waited. Shinjuku was one of the world's busiest rail and transit stations. Minutes passed as the bus wound its way through the complex to its stopping point near the taxi stand. The girl took a deep breath. She must not look too excited. Finally, the bus pulled up to the curb. Brakes were set, doors opened, and the girl took her place in line with the rest. There were only a dozen left. Trundling their carry-on bags, each one passed the driver with a nod or words of thanks. The relief man stood outside to help those off and to open the side doors for those with suitcases. A brief thank you to each, and the girl stepped away. She avoided the few on hand to greet her fellows. There was no need to search. No one knew she was here, hopefully. She did not go into the station. Skirting the entrances, the solitary girl turned a corner and walked into the sun.
I'm here with Tory Gates, the amazing author of A Moment in the Sun, but he's also a media personality across the board. So it was really exciting to get a chance to meet him and hear about all the different things that he's doing to help get the word out to the community in its various forms. Now, you actually work with the Radio Pennsylvania Network, which is a division of WITF.
That's right.
So what do you actually do with them?
Well, I've done a number of different things.
You're everywhere.
Well, yes, and I've been on the fringe of a lot of it. It's like I'm one of the people that's not that well known. The Radio PA Network's been around for a number of years, and they became a division of WITF a few years ago.
Yeah, they were new to me.
Well, they've been providing news and sports content for about 65 radio stations or thereabouts all over the state. And been doing that for several years. And I ended up doing a part-time sports job with them back in 2010. And I had thought that my radio career was finished because I'd been in it for about 25 years. And then I was made redundant from a certain company. And I thought, well, I've accomplished my goals. And then suddenly I was back in it. So
surprise.
Yeah. So what happened was I just started doing some sports work for them. And I ended up briefly on WITF radio. I hosted Morning Edition and All Things Considered as a substitute for a little bit.
Awesome.
And I've done some behind-the-scenes work, very, very small things. You know, I'm not one of the people that's going to be well-known, and in a way that's kind of cool because I've just enjoyed being in this business for 30 years. And
you're like the stealth radio guru.
Kind of. I'm the guy that's stayed in it because I love doing it. I've always enjoyed it, and I just found places for myself. And right now, I'm doing some sports and some news for WITF's division, which is Radio PA. And starting in November, I'm going to be doing some work on the news desk. You'll get to hear my voice a little bit more, but it's just a step forward, which is really nice, and it gives me the space to do all these other things.
So why radio? I mean, radio is, I think, seen sometimes as like the newspapers. It's a classic, traditionally really important method of communication, a way of sharing art, but it's one that is still sort of seeking to find its relevance and its continued lifespan in today's market when we have internet radio and we have YouTubes and we have just all these ways to get out. What does radio still have to offer that we can't get from these other platforms?
The one thing that it still has is immediacy, and one thing that people don't realize is how much that they still use it. I'm no expert at the numbers or what's really been happening right now, but I mean, on our end, it does seem like a dying industry. I mean, the jobs have dried up. The consolidation of media companies has made it very difficult, and the few of us that are still in this business, basically, it's find a spot and try to hang on to it while hopefully still doing something that you enjoy. I've been pretty fortunate at that. What you are finding is that a lot of stations are being cannibalized. A lot of it is money. A lot of it is economics. And on the other side of that, people decry, you know, what's on and all of that. But a lot of people also don't realize the business aspect of it, how much it costs to keep the stick on, you know, to keep the lights on, that kind of thing. And yet at the same time, we are trying to find spots for ourselves. And I do think it's going to change. I think that there's a situation where eventually you see radio start to make a comeback. You've had for many years community radio, like on low power FM stations, and people trying to make a go of it. And it's a lot of hard work, but you know, I applaud those people for trying, and I hope that they continue to do so. On the immediacy part of it, when the Wi-Fi goes down, when the net goes down, what have you got?
That's true. You go straight to that radio.
Exactly. And
to find out what's happening. It's still it's an emergency. I need to figure out what's happening.
And it still has its place, and it will. You know, we still use it for so many things. We use it for news, for sports, for entertainment of various kinds. And sure, there are a lot of other opportunities out there for that. Internet radio is become very big. There's you know, podcasting. There's so many ways to get your message out, but the immediacy will never be lost. It's still got a reason for being.
So doing news and sports, and how did the art angle come into it? And what made you decide after, 25 years of working in broadcasting and sharing the words from other people, what inspired you to put your own work out there?
Well, it's got up to about 30 now, but you know, getting on. But it's something that has always been a part of me, and I didn't realize it. I think what happened to me in terms of it is I grew up with the great encouragement to read. I grew up with a lot of different music in the 60s, the late 60s. My brothers were a huge rock and roll fan, so I grew up with the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Bob Dylan being drummed into my head when I was about 3 years old, which is a great way to start.
It is. That's a good kickoff point.
And so music was always a part of it. And radio was something that I really did not think I could ever do. And I say this because I remember growing up listening to the radio all the time. I grew up in northern Vermont, and so I lived near the Canada border, and what happened was we would hear radio out of Montreal. We would hear radio from you know, the areas of around my home state, and there weren't an awful lot of stations, but you had that immediacy that I talk about, and I suppose that had an impression on me. I've always been a fairly creative person. I like to write. I mean, I've written different things, but it's like I've written songs, I've written different pieces, but I did not seriously get into any of these things until I sort of got tipped into them. When when the broadcasting angle came along, I got out of high school basically having no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to write. I knew I wanted to do something of the sort. And I went to a small college in Maine that had just started an FM radio station that had some actual power to it. And I just fell into it and realized, I think I can do this. And so that was that part of it. This is the last portion of Chapter 7. Ray is the main character whom we were introduced to at the beginning. At this point, Ray has found herself out of the issues that she was in. She is back in society. She has been introduced to a man named Kohei. He was what was known as, and is known as, hikikomori. It's the Japanese term for acute self-isolation. Socially isolated, Kohei managed to come out, and he started a business for himself. Ray was one of these people, though in a slightly different manner. They were brought together, and what has happened is Kohei has brought her to his place of business to meet other folks who were hikikomori and how they got out. And what happens is he introduces Ray to an online world called The Dwellers. It is a chat room, and it is a place where hikikomori come to chat, to talk about their problems, to try to help one another. This part of the scene, they are sitting in Kohei's back office, and they are just watching the screen. They're sort of lurking, as it were. And there doesn't seem to be much happening. Kohei makes his explanation, and then this happens. Another name popped up on the screen. Her sudden lean against Kohei caused him to turn. What is it? Ray pointed to a name. That one, she said. The one that just came on. The name Shoyama 15X was listed at the bottom of the screen, the lettering red as he signed on and sent a hello message. Do you know him? Kohei asked. Why, Ray respired, do I think so? Kosan, have you met this person? No. Do you know if he lives around here? Intrigued, Kohei typed a greeting to the new arrival. I don't know. Do you have a specific question for him? Ask, Ray said, her voice excited, if he used to go to Shoken Memorial. Kohei did so, and they watched the screen. There was a long pause. A series of dots appeared to show a reply was being formulated. I did, the one called Shoyama messaged. Who wants to know? Does he remember Ray Murata, she now asked. If you only want to use my first name, do that. You can mention my hair. Okay. Kohei typed in the answer with Ray's description. Another long pause. Ray stared at the screen and licked her dried lips. The dots returned, and then... Yes, I remember Ray. How do you know her? Kohei looked over. Shall I tell him? Ray nodded. Please. Kohei typed, Ray is sitting here beside me. The head of the Free Center where she lived introduced us. Her past is not unlike ours, and she wants to help. The screen went silent for several moments. Tell her I say hello. How is she? Does she still go to school with Rika? Ray grinned, and Kohei said, let us switch. Normally I wouldn't do this, but you need to talk to him. Kohei left the office and went back out front. Nervously, Ray typed, Shokun, this is Ray. How are you? Yes, I'm still in school with Richan, and she as well. Your name came up in the book club the other day. Ray waited. The room fell silent, and Ray realized others were listening. Then another window opened with Kohei and Sho's names in it, a private conversation. Are we alone? Is Kohei there? No. Sho, where are you? I wondered about you after you left school. I'm still in the same place, with my parents. How are you, Ray? Are you still drawing? Yes, Yui is teaching me, and I took over her role at the center. That's good. I'm glad for you, Ray. You'll be a great artist one day. Is Rika well? She is. She will be happy you thought of her. We miss you in the club show. Another pause. I'm sure they don't miss me. I'm surprised the club still exists. Ray imagined Sho's tone of voice as if he were here. She typed back, Shikara and Tamiko are still in charge. I'm afraid they're much the same as you remember them. They can't change. They never will. I can't either, Ray. I'm trapped. The fine hairs on Ray's body rose. How? I can't leave here, Ray. I am not fit for society. I am frightened. Ray drew in her breath, and her fingers banged out a response. Sho, I was once like you. Not exactly, but I felt as you do now. Let me help. What are you frightened of? Of never changing. I quit school because I can't take all that I feel. Ray, I can't talk about this. Please remember me to Rika. She was always kind to me. Katone and Isamu, too, as you were, but I'm not ready. Be safe. An automatic message noted that Sho left the room. Ray closed the screen and went back to the original. Sho was gone. Koei? Or is this Ray? Masato now asked. Ray, did I just drive Sho away? No, it's okay. Sho will be back. Don't worry about it. So you know him? Yes. I can't relate what we said, but if I were standing before him, I would say he fled from me. He doesn't want to know anymore. Sho is a lot like a lot of us. It's good you're here, Ray. He'll come around again. Kohei says we'll meet. I want to. We shall. I'll speak with him. Ray signed off. She pushed back in Kohei's chair and stared at the empty screen. Sunbury Press, I remembered talking with Mr. Walton, and I thought, well, let's see. And I submitted the manuscript properly and didn't hear anything for a while, didn't expect to. And at the end of 2014, I was getting ready to put Drifters out, getting ready to go with that because I had already gone through a lot of the work and the other procedures. Okay. They came back and said, we want to publish this. And I had this moment of dead silence where I just sat and stared at my screen going, no, this can't be. And here it is. So we have spent the past several months getting it properly proofed, and they've been very good about that. They've given me a lot of help in that area. And, well, by the time folks watch this, I believe it's going to be available through Sunbury Press and their website. Mm-hmm. We should be able to have it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It'll also, I think, be available through indie bookstores. They do a lot of work with those.
Absolutely. Yes, Sunbury Press is great. So when you were trying to figure out, you had all these stories going around, what was it about the story of A Moment in the Sun that made you feel like this is the one you need to give voice to right now?
Well, I found out about this through a story on the BBC website. I was just looking at it, and I was just reading it for the news and stuff, and there was this story a while back about the hikikomori. That's the Japanese term for folks who suffer from what is called acute social isolation. I had never heard the term, and I had never heard of this phenomenon. In Japan alone, there are about 1 million people like this who literally shut themselves away and rarely, if ever, leave their rooms, leave their homes. And it is the feeling of, and the thing is, it's not agoraphobia, it's different reasons for each person, which is something I tried to explore. And in this short story, there were these stories of these different people, and I just thought, what is this? I was really astounded. And I remember dealing with some of my own introversion and my own depression. I have depression. I've had it all my life, and I've battled it. I went through periods of that. I mean, I would leave my home. I would go to work. I would do the things I needed to do, but there are periods where I would prefer being alone, and sometimes it's just me liking my own company, but in other times I just can't deal with it. And I began to see I started reading these stories, and I just thought, there's something here. I didn't know what. And I started looking into it. There is a manga, a very popular one called Welcome to the NHK, in which the main character is hikikomori. And I read the first volume, and it really didn't give me much of an idea about why this fellow was this way, and so intensely of the need to be alone. And in the story, he's dragged out by this adventure. And I started to sort of search my own mind, and I started to search the characters running around in my head for the different stories. And I started to think, all right, something's happening. And What happens with me is when I write, I try very hard not to just start writing. I can't just sit down and write with this. What I'll do is I will let the story cook for about 3 to 6 months and just see what happens with it. You know, does a storyline start to come to mind? Do characters start to come to mind? And then what I will do is I'll just write a set of character sketches, and those will tend to become fairly long sketches. And you know, I might write several pages just on that alone. Ray came to me as, like a lot of the characters do, she just struck me as a very forward character, a fairly strong character, but she had elements of people that I knew, and I didn't know who they were. Ray is partly my imagination. Ray is also partly a couple of people that I've known throughout my life. One of them is an old friend of mine who is no longer with us, and I didn't realize it was her until a little later on, that she was a very forward person, and she had very set goals and very set ideas of what she wanted to be, but she never was able to make that happen. She had different issues, she had roadblocks, and I think a lot of my characters have those. I have them in my own life. I know so many people that do, and I thought, okay, here's what we're going to do. And I started fitting about the different people that started to come to me, and Ray started to grow right into my mind. And then I wrote the storyline, and of course you never have a storyline go from point A to point B. You have a zigzag, and after that it wrote itself rather well, and it's become a really interesting story. It is a story that, yes, is rather depressing and a little shocking, and I think there are some things that will probably...
Sometimes life is.
There's things that will jolt people a little bit, but life can be that way.
It
and
makes
that's
you
what
feel, it makes you think, and and one of my favorite things that I look for when I'm reading fiction, when I'm reading a book, is I want to feel that commonality. I want to see something in them that I can identify with, but then I also want to be exposed to something that's totally outside of my realm of experience. So that's what I particularly love about this book. It's totally introducing us to a brand new concept, to new places and new ideas that we would never have actually thought of, most of us. But then when you read deeper, as you get into the story, you're like, just like you were saying, there's some part of me that has experienced those feelings, that has felt this. You can find yourself in even the story of a total stranger from a completely different culture.
This one is the beginning of chapter 15, entitled Broken Stones. At this point, Ray has met Masato, who is Hikikomori, and he is the leader of the Dwellers. He's kind of the admin of the chat room. He does get out on occasion, clearly a very quirky character himself, but he and Ray understand one another immediately. And they take a trip to another part of the city. This is pretty much in Tokyo where this is based. And they are going to see another Hikikomori, one that has never been seen before. They meet his mother, a lady named Wakana, who is probably in her 80s. Her age is uncertain, but Ray guesses this woman is pretty old. And she greets them, has them in, and she says, at the end of chapter 14, what you are about to see is something you will have never experienced before. And so, the beginning of Broken Stones, chapter 15. They followed Wakana down a narrow hall in the direction of the music. Beyond the kitchen and living room were a bathroom and 2 more doors. The piano emanated from the furthest one down. At this one they halted. "I wish you luck," Wakana whispered. She withdrew. Ray and Masato stood there and listened to the piece. The meter was irregular but familiar to aficionados of jazz. "Bebop," Masato commented. "Based on it anyway, but that's good." "In the style of Thelonious Monk," Ray appraised. "The time signature is off. Sounds like 9/8. Masato was impressed. "How do you know about that?" "Yui loves jazz," Ray explained. "She and her friends have given me an education." "So what do you play?" "Lots of stuff," Masato said with a shrug. "Some of my own, some of others." The music abruptly stopped, interrupted. "We're going in," Masato whispered. He knocked, and a long pause followed. "Who is there?" a deep, distant voice called. "Karu, it's Masato," he replied. "Rei-san is with me." What sounded like a guttural breath was heard. "Come in. The door is not locked." Masato slid the door open, and they followed the light inside. The room was a black square, dark paneling added to the gloom. Blinds shuttered the window. The floor held a futon, one dresser, and a desk with a computer several models old. Plastic bins were stacked in shadow along the four walls. There was just enough light to see files, numerous folders that overflowed from them. On the floor at their feet were scattered stacks and loose sheaves of music paper, staffs, clefs, and notes, penciled, inked, erased, and rewritten. These trailed up to the electric piano that rested on a stand. The monitor's pale light shone upward upon the man who sat before it, hands in his lap. They stared. A shock of thick black hair down to a face with sagged skin, heavy eyes, and hunched carriage sat before them. Ray saw enough of the face to see its misaligned proportion. The right side around the cheekbone was compressed inward. "Karu," Masato said. "That is I." The voice sounded like that of a man awakened from a long sleep. "At last we meet, Masato. I feel I have known you all my life." What I would do is when I read something new to me, I either would find myself in the story, usually through another character. I would find that one character that I identified with, that I thought, hey, this sounds like me. And I would use that to just sort of propel myself through the story. And sometimes if it was a book that really wasn't that good, I would use that to try to finish it, because I always would try to finish what I read, no matter if I liked it or not. Right. And I suddenly realized that there was something that drove me to write was, and I'm not trying to be pretentious about this, it's when I write stories, the thing that I want the readers to do, or I hope that they do, on the base level, I hope they get entertained. I hope they find that it was a good story, or that it was funny, or interesting, or something, or that at the very least it took them somewhere. What I hope for is that people find that character that they most clearly identify with in the story, and they sort of go with that character and follow that character along through the story. And I will put my characters through some pretty crazy things, and I will put them through some sometimes unthinkable things. But I think part of that is my own experience. Part of that was other people's experiences, because at first I could not write about myself. I just couldn't do it. And what I hope for is people find that character, like that character, or they see what, like, for example, what Ray goes through. You know, you see Ray in both shades of dark and light, and you see them very harshly at times. My hope is that people look at Ray, or look at Sho, her friend who is Hikikomori, and think, well, I know who this is, or, hey, I've been here. I'm dealing with something like this. And what might also occur is that they think, you know what, this person has just been through some pretty weird crap, for lack of a nicer term, and have them think, if I see this, if they can get through this, my problems are not so bad. I can get through my own problems. Maybe they become better people because of it, or at least they are given hope. And that's one of the things that I think Ray tries to do is, she had hope. She found people that supported her when she didn't think there was anybody. And she got lucky, and she admits, I was lucky. I got to a place where they took me as I was. They didn't judge me. They let me find myself and let me grow up a little bit and let me get out. And that was something that was really important for her. But she also realized that a lot of people never get that. And she thought, I'm going to try to help. And when she realizes one of her friends, someone that she finds that, yeah, she went to school with this kid, but she realizes that I hardly knew him. And she thinks, it's my job to get him out. I've got to do it. So I hope that people find that hope, that they can get out of their own issues and move forward.
It only happens once a year. All your friends and family there. Bundle up, it might be cold. Spectacle for young and old. In the city you'll find me standing right next to that tree. I can't wait to see it glow as it glistens on the snow. And there's so much going on, from the market to the church and back again. Hello my friend, light it up and sing along. The York High Band is playing on. Down the street over at the Cap, Greater York came out to dance. They'll be hanging with the crew. Weary Oscar sings for you. It only happens once a year. All your friends and family there. Oh, York City is so pretty. Light up night. Light up night. Hey, Mr. Shipley, thank you kindly for the power. Oh, the tree hangs like a tower in the night, full of grace and full of light. I just wanna see it glow all night. This first Friday, come behold a dancing gems for young and old. Grab your kids and follow me. Santa's at the library. There is lots to do. Hello to you, York City. It only happens once a year. All your friends and family there. Oh, York City is so pretty. Light up night, light up night. It only happens once a year. All your friends and family here. Oh, York City is so pretty. Light up night. Light up night. Oh, York City. Light up night.
I'm really excited about this. I love the atmosphere, and I just want to know more about it.
I see it evolving, changing, growing, and I like it.
It's fleeting. Once it happens, once a song comes out, once a poem comes out, it'll never come out the same.
Some of the culture in Maine is documenting what's going on in a way that will have that lasting staying power.
It just breeds health, growth. It's a necessity. It's a necessity, yes.